Morning. It's Sunday, November 22nd. I read an article this morning that talks about peace and countries that have signed peace treaties. Now, signing a peace treaty does not necessarily mean that the signees and the signers necessarily agree on everything. So I'm going to tell you this story. Israel, which we all know has been attacked and has had more resolutions written against it than any other nation in the UN. But this time they sponsored a resolution on entrepreneurship across the world. Amazingly, this Israel-sponsored resolution passed with a huge majority, something like 144 to 26 with 9 abstentions. The 26 no votes were not spread across the entire UN membership. It was an Arab bloc. 26 Arab nations voted against this resolution, including the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain, 2 of the countries that have just signed peace treaties with the Israelis. Why? Why would a bloc of Arab nations vote against the resolution that wants to bring better business practices and opportunities sponsored by the UN to the world to make people's lives better, to help those countries that are suffering? Why would these 26 nations vote that way? And many of these 26 nations have nothing to lose by this resolution. They are all very wealthy from their oil profits. So we have to look at this a little bit more closely. The resolution primarily focuses on the actions needed for a post-pandemic recovery. It calls for UN member states to help entrepreneurs, micro and small and medium-sized enterprises, with an emphasis on those most affected by the pandemic. It seemed to me that nobody would want to vote against something like that. The world is going to need a lot of help, and many countries are going to need more help than others. And really, if you look at it, that's what the UN is supposed to be doing. Now, I'm not a big fan of the UN because I think that there are not enough democracies in the world, and that affects the actions of the UN and the amount of work that they can really do. But anyhow, getting back to this issue, 4 countries or 5 countries that already have established peace with Israel voted against the resolution. And it's not because they thought the resolution was bad. And it's not because they didn't understand the value of innovation and that they decided to vote against innovation. Their no vote was not driven by reason or logic, but I believe it was driven by anti-Semitism and intolerance. Those states should be ashamed of themselves, but I doubt that they are. They are clinging to racism and bigotry. The fact that there's peace with Israel does not erase the hatred that is felt for the Jew. It's a sad thing that I say something like that. It's a sad thing that the world is loaded with anti-Semitism, and that it goes so far that anything that a Jew proposes is opposed not on the face value of the proposition or the proposal, but it's based upon the person that put the proposal forward. And in this case, some members of the UN have acted like that. They are not against the proposal, they're against the proposee. At least these 26 countries are. The United States voted in favor of this proposal. Our representative to the Economic and Social Council, Courtney R. Nimroff, said the United States was pleased to vote in favor of the Entrepreneurship for Sustainable Development resolution. So we have stood by Israel, which is not unusual because this administration has done very well by Israel. I admit I'm not in favor of Trump, not a fan of his, but his relations with Israel have been better than most. So now that this resolution has been passed, I will be keeping an eye on the UN to see exactly how this entrepreneurship resolution moves forward. It'll be very interesting to see how many countries in the UN actually step up and contribute whatever is necessary for the success of this resolution. That will be the true test. I have found that the UN doesn't do a very good job at follow-up. There are many areas where they are deficient and have failed. But as long as they keep trying, then there may be some hope. So let's all keep an eye on this and see if anything important and valuable happens. I say that now, and the pandemic is still raging, and this really can't take place until we've beaten COVID. So let's hope we all remember to watch for this thing in the coming years, because I don't think this pandemic is ending anytime soon. So that's it for today, and I'll see you in the morning. Bye.